What's the family tea that you found out once you got older? I'll go first. So, growing up, I always knew that my grandmother would lie about what year she was born, right? And I would always ask my mother, like, why she would do that. And my mother would tell me she went to jail for a friend. It wasn't until I was 17 years old that I found out my grandmother went to jail for running a back alley schmishmorshin clinic during the Roe v. Wade era. So when I say there ain't no bitch in my blood, there really ain't no bitch in my blood. And I'll remind y'all that making schmishmorshins illegal will only take away access to safe schmishmorshins. What's the family tea that you found out once you got older?
I'm embarrassed about this one. So when I was 14, my mom passed away, and there was one day where I was sitting on the couch with my dad and my sister when I was like 16, 17, and something about the TV show that we were watching made my sister say, oh yeah, like how mom has a daughter that we don't know about. And my family always like plays jokes on each other, okay? And me being the youngest, I always feel played. So I completely thought that she was joking. And then my dad like caught on to it and like went along with it. And I did not believe them. Then when I was a freshman in college, my long lost sister found us. And so it turns out I have a nephew who is a year younger than me, and yeah, a sister that I had no idea existed.
What's the family tea that you found out once you got older?
Well, hello there. So growing up, me and my granddaddy was like this before he died. And my granddaddy always had money. And when I say money, I mean money. His walking around money was to have $100 bills this thick in one pocket. In the other pocket, he keep his smaller bills like 20s, 50s, ones. So I had no idea what my granddaddy did for a living. And nobody said anything about it. It was like a secret, kind of. And he had properties and like clubs and laundromats and all this shit. And he had what we called a shop. And the shop was nothing but a property that was completely empty except for a table, one of those printing calculators, and a whole bunch of print paper. My granddaddy was on the FBI watch list. He was the number man. All them businesses was him laundering money. And if you don't know what the number man is, it's basically the person that runs the illegal lottery. My granddad was the shit.
What's the family tea that you found out once you got older?
Incest edition. 60 seconds is not enough time to go through all the stuff that I have found out over the years. So I'm going to give you some snippets, and then in the comments, I'll get into more tea. Okay, rapid fire, let's go. My dad tried to rape one of his cousins. Then my dad successfully had sex with a different cousin. My homophobic, bigoted aunt tried to also sleep with a cousin who was a female. My cousin and our second cousin were in a relationship. Her mom knew, and she was fine with it because she thought that he was a good guy. His mom didn't know, and I know who told her. My grandpa is supposedly the father of my grandma's brother's daughter. So let's get into it.
What's the family tea you found out once you got older?
I got tea. I just found out about. I got tea. I found out about. My mom was like, "Don't fucking tell a soul." So I'm gonna change names for. I'm gonna change names. So I have these family members, right? We're gonna call them Maria and Jesus. I don't know. Maria and Jesus are married. Super cool. Blah blah blah. And they have 2 daughters. Okay, we're gonna call the 2 daughters Rose and Lily. I don't know. Okay, so Rose and Lily, right? Okay. And then there's a 3rd daughter who's like 15 years younger than Rose and Lily. And it's weird. We're going to call the bitch Daffodil, right? And it's weird because Daffodil came in while mom, what did we name mom? Oh my God, Maria, right? While Maria was like 50 something, 60 something, like 50 something, right? So gossip. Okay. When, I think it was Rose. Rose was the oldest. Rose was like 15 and what was the other thing? Lily was like 14, 13, right? Whatever. Rose was a little tarumamasis in school when she was younger. But that's not where the story's going. Lily was a little miss, I do what my sister does. So one day, Rose is playing around with Lily and was like, dude, I think I'm pregnant. Like, I don't know what to do. Mom and dad are gonna kill me. So Lily, instead of like, dude, we're fucked, she was like, oh no, me, I want to be my sister. So Lily goes out there and she tries to get pregnant too. Mind you, Lily's like 13, 14 years old. I'm just gonna throw that out there again. So a couple weeks after that, Lily's like, dude, I think I'm pregnant. And Rose had totally forgotten about her telling Lily that she thought she was pregnant because it was just like a quick scare and she got her period the next day, so moving on. Pero Lily's period didn't come the next day. So now Rose and Lily are like, dude, what the fuck? I wasn't actually pregnant, dude. Like, I was just fucking telling you. Why the fuck would you fucking do that, stupid ass? And Lily's like, I'm pregnant. I'm 14 years old. Yeah. Mind you, this was like back then. So, it mattered what people thought and said and all that stuff. So Maria and Jesus were like, cool. Your ass is staying in this house for the next 9 months. No one's seeing your stupid ass. And in 9 months, this baby will be your sister. Yep. So now, I think it's been like 20 years. Daphne needed, I think it was a kidney or some sort of something. So obviously they asked mom. But mom isn't mom. And mom's no match. I don't think it was a kidney. It was something a little bit more complicated because literally only mom could be a match. And when Sissy Pooh came out a match... like for part 2.
What's some family to you didn't find out about until you were older?
Alright, so boom. I'm born, right? I'm born to a huge family. My grandmother's the oldest of 18 kids, right? I got a rack of cousins. We go down south every year to my great-grandmother's house in Rocky Mount, North Carolina, right? Boom. So I got this one cousin named Braxton. We spent a rack of time together. His mom was one of my grandmother's younger sisters. We saw each other every summer, every Christmas. Even like they would come down for our cookouts, we would go up there, spend time, whatever. Whoop. So I'm just like, whatever, you know. It's just like one of my favorite cousins. I love playing with him. Like 2 years younger than me. So fast forward, it's we had a pig picking. I don't know if y'all know what a pig picking is. It's some down south shit. But basically, you take a huge pig, a whole one head, everything. You split it open. You slap it on the grill. It is the main centerpiece of the cookout, but it's a rack of other food. Anyway, it's a huge event. So we used to throw one every year. So everybody comes down, boop, boop, boop. I'm 12 at this point, right? Mind my business. So I'm walking, mind just at my house. Of course, my little cousin Braxton's there, along with, you know, all the other cousins. So I'm walking my business, boop, boop. So one of my other aunts, comes and puts her arm around my shoulder, and we're walking, and she said, hey, did you know Braxton is your brother? Excuse me? She says, yeah, Braxton is your brother. Your mother is his mother. Excuse me? Mind you, we live in Maryland, and my cousin brother lives in Durham, North Carolina, where he was raised. He's been there since he was born. Apparently, come to find out, when I was 2, my mother got pregnant with Braxton, and she couldn't take care of him, so instead of them adopting him out, they gave him to my aunt, who couldn't have kids, and she's had him since the day he was born. And neither one of us ever knew until that day when they randomly decided to let us know that we are siblings. But I love my little brother to death. He's one of my favorite people, and it just made sense. It clicked. I wasn't like super upset. It was kind of weird talking to my mom after that. You know, because we had questions with kids, but I mean, at the end of the day, they did keep it in the family, and they made sure that we always saw each other, and we were extremely close regardless. But it definitely explained why, when nobody else was visiting each other, we was around each other. But yeah, that's my story. Love you, bro.
What's the family tea that you found out once you got older?
I have a family member on the police wanted list back in the home country, so he changed his identity, came up with fake documentation, passports, and everything, and moved to a different country with his family. One of the most religious and charitable men in our family was having an affair on his wife for years. All the men in the family knew, but no one said anything to her. One woman would hide snacks from her grandchildren and would call them these terrible names whenever their parents weren't around. I was that grandchild. Several hushed cases of sexual assault. However, of course, you got to keep that private. One man had a second wife back in the home country, and as she was starting to get sick and she's like, I need money, he's like, I don't care if you die. One family member stole a ton of money from his brother, and his brother just ended up in a ton of debt, and him and his kids were living in poverty for quite a bit. I was that child, that kid. And I knew all of this as a kid, so you can see why I have a very distorted perception of the concept of family.
What's the family tea that you found out once you got older?
This is the story of how an alleged affair involving a member of my family led to the borders of my hometown being redrawn. So my town and the town next to us literally border each other right up against it. If you're not from here, you don't know when you leave one town and enter the other. And at the end of this story, you'll think if you're from here, you don't know when you enter one and leave the other. Allegedly, my granduncle was cheating on his wife with a woman that lived across the street from my parents. I don't know why my grand aunt thought this, because the only time those two ever had some kind of close contact was on election day, because they were both poll workers at the same precinct. But to avoid them being together, my grand aunt goes to the mayor and says, hey, that area shouldn't technically be part of our town, it should be part of the town next door. And the mayor actually had beef with a dude that lived in one of the houses, so he agreed, and they changed the borders of the town.
What's the family tea that you found out once you got older?
Honestly, I wish I was older when I found out the family tea, but here we are. So, long story short, my grandfather was murdered by his wife, and we have a lot to unpack here. So, okay, my grandfather was diabetic, and with diabetes comes a lot of different issues, right? Like, you know, different hospitalizations, different whatever, but it's treatable and it's manageable. So anyway, he was in his small town hospital, and my parents wanted to bring him to our big town hospital where he could like see better doctors and better whatever. And in order for that to happen, his wife was going to have to sign over power of attorney. Well, she didn't want to do that. Same night, I was actually in the hospital, and the next morning we got a phone call from my mom, and it was horrifying. Following like for part 2. Sorry.
What's the family tea that you found out once you got older? I'll go first.
Oh, I've been waiting for this. Okay, so let's just start with the fact that my mom is gross. All right, so my mom has a sister. She has 2 sisters, actually. But the one we're going to talk about today is the middle child, my mother being the oldest. When my cousin was born, I found out as an adult that after my cousin was born, before I was born, my mom had decided to come help my aunt with everything that she could need help with. You know, the laundry, the dishes, fucking her husband, cleaning the house, taking care of the baby. Or we could talk about the time that apparently the same nephew, actually, that I just referenced, was sick with pneumonia at like 11 years old, and my mom stole his bottle of fucking cough syrup with codeine. My mom stole the lean. From an 11-year-old. Ooh, even better. Okay, so how about my great-grandmother, my Meemaw, right? Love that lady. My Meemaw, rest her soul, was dating my pawpaw. Okay, so, but before pawpaw dated Meemaw, apparently pawpaw dated Granny, and Granny pissed him off, so they broke up, and his response was, bet I fuck your mom. And then he did. Can't forget the other scumbags of the family, like the youngest of the 3 sisters that I'm referencing here, believing her boyfriend over her daughter. I'm sorry, what? Then she married him. I come from good genes. And that's just on my mom's side. Oh, but let's get into the tea for my dad's side. Okay, so on my dad's side, first off, find one that's not a drug addict, ex or current, and I will give you money I don't have. Second off, we come from a family that made money off of children. I'll let that one sink in for a little bit. And if anybody from either side of my family were to find my TikToks, I just want to go ahead and say, you can suck my entire fucking dick about it. I'm not gonna be quiet. I'll keep telling them. I won't sit here and act like I'm in the wrong for being a victim, and I won't sit here and act like you're not in the wrong for being an abusive, disgusting piece of shit. Then again, what do I know? I was just a child, right? I couldn't possibly remember anything. That's what they all told me. That I was wrong, and I didn't remember any of it properly, right? But, yeah, no, we're all good family. It's great. It's all good. It's good. Just good. It's real good. It's all, ew.